My dear brothers and sisters, I chose this particular story that happened to one of our brothers in Islam to show you that we take only what Allah chose for us, and we can't force something that is not meant for us, and we must accept our qadr, and Allah will give us better than what we wanted or expected, and in the end the road of Shaitan leads to nothing but destruction. Let's start. Bismillah. I am an Arab young man in my late 20s. I decided to share my story as anonymous and not share my real name or what country I am from. What is important is my story that I decided to share as a lesson. I was a practicing person. I come from a wealthy family and we lived in a rich neighborhood, and we had a big villa that included a separated small studio in the garden that I used as a place to hang out. I put a couch and a TV and all commodities in there and spent most of my time there chilling after work. My life was very normal. My two older brothers were married and lived in another house, so I was the only one living with my parents, and I had a good paying job, so my daily routine included work all day, then come home and chill until I saw her, and she changed my life. My neighbors had a daughter who was my age. She was a niqabi, so I couldn't see her face, but her haya amazed me, and one day I saw her by coincidence in her balcony while her face was revealed. I was taking out the trash and she was in her hijab. It was just a fraction of a second and my heart almost stopped. She was beautiful, and at that moment I decided to go ask her hand for marriage and make her my wife, and the next day I went alone to talk to her father, and I wasn't expecting what he did next. Her father literally talked in a rude way to me and said, "I am sorry, but we have no daughter to give you in marriage. Here, go look for your qadr somewhere else, son." And he closed the door on my face. I didn't understand the reason why he rejected me. I come from a wealthy family and had a good job, and I was practicing as well. My heart was shattered to pieces. The next day I tried again, and her parents had same reaction. They rejected me for the second time, and I fell in a terrible depression. I was madly in love with that woman to the point that I became obsessed with her. I started to spend all my day in the studio of our garden depressed, and I stopped going to my job until I got fired and spent my time watching movie after movie. I even thought of commit suicide, astaghfirullah, because I wanted nobody but her. I stopped praying and practicing because I was in a deep sadness. Instead of turning to Allah and accept that we can't take what isn't for us, I became a victim of a love from one side only. One day my world shattered to pieces. I heard the traditional celebration outside, and when I went out I saw with my own eyes the woman I loved in the white dress escorted by her family. She got married, and I discovered by a friend that the day I went to ask her hand, a man already had asked her hand and she accepted, and that was the end of me. I remained in my studio for days, only sleeping and watching movies and thinking of her, drowning in my own sadness. That's what happens when you get far from Allah. I didn't know what to do with my life now that she was married to someone else, so I started to watch horror movies, mostly Turkish ones and American ones, and one particular horror movie struck me, which was a person calling on a jinn, and I was kind of interested. The idea got stuck in my head. Shaitan was implanting many ideas in my head using my weakness. I knew that jinns took any form, so I was telling myself, why can't I call a female jinn that can take the form of the woman I love so I can have her in my own way, even if it's not truthfully her, but I will pretend it's her. I started to search on internet for the experiences of people who dealt with that. I won't mention any site or place I looked in, and I found out that there is a book of magic that count in a way to call on a female jinn that can fulfill my request, but in my country and most of Arab countries these books were banned, so where would I find it? I kept searching for days until I wrote a comment on a group I joined and asked if someone can help me find this certain book.